Hello, this is a video about Joe Dispenza's Influence, Affluence, and Abundance Teleclass number 2. In this video, I'm going to give you my interpretation of what Dr. Joe Dispenza said. So it may be a direct quote, it may not be. If you want to hear the recording yourself, you can go to his website. I posted the link below. So Dr. Joe started out talking about scarcity and some of the habits or traits that people with a scarcity mindset demonstrate. The first is fear of making a mistake. That's definitely something that I suffer from and need to work on. Then there's fear of losing out. So this could be in a variety of ways. One of the things that I do and that I'm really working hard on is that fear of missing out. So I say yes to a lot of different opportunities that pull me in different directions. Another way of fearing losing out is not being willing to take a risk. I want to keep that little bit of income that I'm making from this job rather than venturing out and trying something new. Another trait that people with a scarcity mindset have is being triggered too easily, emotionally triggered. And I know for myself, growing up in ongoing trauma, for me, it's been really helpful to work on not being so easily triggered and pausing before I react when I am emotionally triggered by something. Another thing that he said was that we have to be willing to move toward discomfort in order to have more abundance. I mentioned this in the first video on this series, but it's worth mentioning again. Dr. Joe started out that teleclass talking about what abundance means to each of us, because it's really an individual thing. And he said that at one point in his life, abundance to him was the idea that he would have absolute freedom to do whatever he wants and not have to answer to anyone. And I think that that is a really common view for a lot of people, myself included. I used to think that I needed to get to a certain level of wealth or success so that I would be completely free and that I would have no problems. But as you know, that's not realistic. In fact, the more money that we have, often we have more problems. However, they're a higher quality of problems than the kind of problems that we have when we can't afford to pay the rent or eat properly or participate in things that make us happy or help us to thrive. So some of the things that Dr. Joe says that it takes to have an abundant mindset is the willingness to take risks. People with abundant mindsets often are not so easily discouraged, or when they are, they don't give up entirely. So if they have a setback, they don't give up. They learn from that mistake and then try again and do it better next time. They see those challenges as learning opportunities rather than complete roadblocks. And I know for myself, that's been what I've been working on over the years as well. I used to, because of my emotional sensitivity and all of the trauma, something would happen and I would just give up and I wouldn't be able to get out of bed because I was so deeply depressed. And the more that I learn how to see these challenges as opportunities to grow and as a natural outcome of taking more risks, the better my life becomes. So I totally agree with that. Another one is overcoming emotions quickly. So, we're all going to get triggered no matter how enlightened we become. There are always going to be new layers of triggers and new problems that come up. But it's how we face those triggers, how we face those problems that are going to determine the outcome in our lives. And a willingness to face discomfort. So the opposite is basically the opposite of some of the mindsets that someone with a scarcity mentality holds on to. So in this teleclass, Dr. Joe invited us to participate in an abundance challenge, and he recommended about 6 weeks of trying this. So I may make some videos about the abundance challenge. I've already been working towards this for a while, but this is just new motivation to do more. Some of the things that he recommended: to read books about abundance. So either specifically about abundance techniques or biographies about abundant people or people who you admire. And when you're reading the book and you come across a characteristic or a trait that you admire or you can see would lead to this person's abundance, write it down so that you can hold that in your mind. He also suggests to look at how these people talk to themselves. What is their self-talk? How do they overcome challenges and adversity? Just reading and immersing ourselves in these stories can help us notice the things that we might like to work towards in our own life, and it can give us inspiration and see that it is possible to become that kind of person. So this isn't an exhaustive list. Again, if you want to sign up for the teleclasses, you can go to his website below. Another thing that Dr. Joe says is to notice the ways that we give our power away. Notice the ways that we are allowing someone else saying, oh, that person made me feel upset, or this external circumstance made me angry. Whatever ways we might be giving away our power. And he says that in order to be abundant, truly abundant, we have to take complete responsibility for everything that happens in our lives. I'm really curious to know what you think about that, because I know that that is kind of a controversial concept. For myself, I know that the more personal responsibility I take in my own life, the more control I feel like I have, and things are still going to happen to me that I have no control over. But what I do have control over is how I respond. So that's really been a source of strength for me. And as I take more responsibility, I actually have noticed that I am more abundant in a lot of ways. And this wasn't part of the teleclass, but I did just read Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And I had been doing some Dr. Joe meditations before. I had read You Are the Placebo, and I bought some of his meditations, but I didn't quite get why we were supposed to go over some of the negative things that we don't want to do anymore in our lives, and I hadn't prepared properly for that aspect of the meditation, so I got frustrated and I gave up. But I'm really thankful that I finally read Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, because now I understand why he does that and some of the ways how I can prepare for that part of the meditation. So leave your comments below. How are you feeling more abundant? Are you going to take part in the 6-week abundance challenge with me? If you want me to post more videos about my abundance experience, then please give me a thumbs up or comment below. Okay, lots of love. Namaste.